keep an eye and ear open to watching and looking at these films, because it's really worth keeping that alive, keeping those voices and identities alive. I started out actually in advertising. My first job out of college. Nung nasa high school pa ako, I was doing PA work for summer, parang mga summer work with my mother sa Awitan Kita, the TV show. Mostly it was PA work and editing, doing, helping out sa continuity and that's sort of thing. It's production staff work. After college, I wasn't sure pa. I thought I was going to be a lawyer, in fact. Pero I worked in an advertising agency. Nasa accounting pa ako noon. I mean, it was really basic. And then I realized people were running around, yung mga production people in the agency. They were really stressed and all of that. Magulo, no? Running all over the place. Pero they were having a lot of fun. It seemed to me. That went on I was there for about, I can't remember, it's 1 or 2 years. And then at some point, I decided, because nga nakikita ko, parang it seemed like the production people were having a lot of fun. Parang I'd like to try that. So I entered, I applied to several film schools. I entered in NYU, the Grad Film and TV Institute in New York. So, yung Tisch School of the Arts. And so I was there. The first semester, I thought I would be a screenwriter. I realized I wasn't really, I realized that I enjoyed the directing more. Parang nalulungkot ako sa writing, and it was stressful. In fact, it was more stressful for me to face a blank page and kind of like, the writing habit and all of that. I just wasn't into that. I kind of like working with other people. By 87, late 87, I did my first film, Mrs. Mo, Mrs. Ko. That was a co-production between Viva and my mother. I learned a lot there. I enjoyed that experience a lot. And then, of course, the second film, the hardest thing kasi is after the first film is they call the sophomore jinx. Getting that second film going is really a tough one. So it took a while for me, 3 years. And then, it was He Intake It Sala, which was a adaptation of Wuthering Heights. It was just, I just had that burning passion for that story and to tell that story. And I think that communicated to everybody, the actors, they picked it up. And then also everybody, the cinematographer, Romy Vitug shot that, and the production design. It was just really dramatically lighted, and we were really working on meticulously on the composition of every shot. But, there was discipline in that film, but it was really, the more parang discipline there was in there, the more lumalabas yung wildness and the uncontrolled passion of the characters. So and I felt that communicated to the production, and I think the audience picked it up and connected with it. Locally, I think it would be Lino Broca. His work was always, it reflected the passions of his characters. So, they would really struggle to get their goals. And basically, you get the feel of the overall sweep of the story that way. So I think the dramatic tension, and the passion of the characters, that was, they were active characters. They were not static characters, people walking around the city waiting for things to happen to them na parang kawawa naman me, parang victim. No, his characters were not playing victims. They would go and get what they wanted. Talagang his connection with his material, with his characters, yung passion niya was coming through. So I thought that's what interested me in it, and that's what got me interested in those stories and those people that I would see in his films. That was one of the things I learned, is that if you're going to make a story, whatever it is, and it's not necessarily about class CD or ABC or whatever. You can do anything. Pero the thing is, make sure lang you're connected with your material. You are passionate about your material. It's a story that you have to tell. It's a story that you're obsessed with, or that you will die if you don't tell it, because that will carry through with everybody in the production. And the audience most likely will pick it up and connect with it because it taps something in their own lives too. For me, my hope is not just to not just to help, sharpen, elevate their materials into shootable form, that will keep their vision and still keep the edge in those stories, but also to drive home some basic fundamental principles in screenwriting, directing, and also that will translate into the films themselves para, without losing the personal and the to professionalize, but basically to my hope lang is it will contribute to helping them develop the professional habits, the good best practices for screenwriting and for directing, as well as sharpening their art and craft in those fields. So yeah, it's those are my hopes and those are my goals. She was very firm on professionalism. As producer, you're demanding a lot, but you're demanding a lot from your production people and from your creative team. But she would also demand a lot of herself in providing the proper working conditions for the everybody. Actually, as far as the films themselves, she would get the best people kasi in the departments, in the creative team, cinematographer. We were working a lot with Romy Vitug, and then music. We were working a lot with Ryan Cabiab, and production designers, and of course that it's that high standard of making sure the quality of the work is good on every department. My mother was really interested in all of that. I mean, as I was, no, we were all, but she was very strict on everybody. But she was demanding of herself as well in getting the best working conditions, the best lodging, the best food, the best creative standards, technical and artistic standards. So it was that's why she would also get people that she would deliver that. I think it was the professionalism. It was the push to give the best of ourselves to the project. I also picked that up from her. Basically, do things that you're passionate about, that you're obsessive about, and it's really a great guide. It's really a great compass on running one's career, one's art, one's craft. It's really do something that only the stuff that you're really passionate about. Keep an eye and ear open to watching and looking at these films because it's really worth keeping that alive, keeping those voices and identities alive, because they're the ones that are telling our stories. Because if that goes, the ones who will be telling our stories are, if they're interested, would be, people from other countries or other voices, and it's not going to be from our own culture. And I think there's just something to be said for a culture, a people telling its own stories to its own audience. Because that's from your that's a record of the audience at the time that film was made. Depending on how that film is received, that's always a record of the not only the story itself, no, not only of the filmmaker's story itself, but the way that story was received by the audience, whether it was a big hit or a flop or something in the middle, will tell us, will give us a picture in the future, will leave a record of what that audience, what that culture was at that time. So it is really worth keeping connected with what's coming out, and you don't have to watch everything, but just when you hear good news about something, take the effort, take the time, go out there, watch it in a film festival, watch it in a regular screening, or wherever it comes out, streaming or wherever. Just keep in touch with it because you don't know. I mean, because just keep it open because it could touch something in you. Could touch something. It could affirm or maybe subvert something that you once believed in, but now parang it's a dissenting voice to what you believe in. So just keep it. Just keep that dialogue between the expressors and the ones that are the audience, the people who are telling stories and the ones who are hearing it.